Okay, let's be real for a second. In a world that feels like it's constantly spinning out of control, who isn't looking for a little bit of inner peace? It's like the ultimate goal, right? Well, that's exactly why we're going to dive into Kathryn Hermes' book, Making Peace with Yourself. Think of it less like a book and more like a roadmap for a journey that, honestly, we're all on. So let's jump in.
Right out of the gate, the book hits you with this hard truth. Life cannot be controlled. I mean, how much of our energy do we spend trying to wrestle life into the exact shape we want it to be? But life just does its own thing. The amazing parts, the awful parts, the totally weird and unexpected parts, it all just is.
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If we can't control what happens, how in the world are we supposed to find any kind of peace? This book goes right at that question, and it suggests that the real journey often kicks off at that very moment we realize our old ways of coping, of trying to control everything, just aren't working anymore.
To show you just how real this struggle is, the book tells this absolutely gut-wrenching story about a Navy technician. He survives this horrific typhoon, sees a blind little boy reaching for help, and then, later, he hears a chaplain just casually brush the whole tragedy aside. And boom, for 40 years his faith is just gone. It's a powerful reminder that this search for peace isn't some nice, abstract idea. It's born from real pain and real crisis. So, how does the book propose we navigate these huge, life-shattering questions? Well, it doesn't just give you ideas. It gives you a guidebook, a practical, 15-step journey to help you map out your own inner world and, hopefully, find your way to peace.
And this whole journey is broken down into 3 main phases. First up is love, which is all about building a new foundation of trusting and accepting yourself. Then we move into healing. That's the active part, the real work of dealing with our past wounds. And finally, we get to mystery, which is about learning to live with the big questions that, well, might not have easy answers.
All right, let's get into phase 1. To build anything that lasts, you need a solid foundation. And the book's whole argument is that you can't really be at peace with the world until you're at peace with yourself. So that means the first step isn't looking out there for answers, it's turning the spotlight inward.
And this brings us to a super important concept in the book, what it calls our inner prisons. Now, we're not talking about literal bars and walls here. We're talking about the invisible cages we build around ourselves, cages made out of our own past experiences.
So what exactly is an inner prison? Well, it's all those limiting beliefs we picked up along the way. You know, those painful life lessons we learned from getting hurt. They might have been defense mechanisms that helped us survive back then, but now they're the very things that keep us from growing, from taking risks, and from just being who we truly are.
And here are some of the brutal messages that can form the bars of that prison. I mean, just think about these for a second. Believing deep down that you are worthless, or intimacy is not safe, or even you must not dream. The book says that just becoming aware that these toxic little scripts are running in the background of your mind, that's the first absolutely huge step toward breaking free.
And you want a powerful example of this? The book tells the story of Jacques Fesch, a man on death row. Think about it. He's trapped in a literal prison, but it's there that he has this incredible spiritual breakthrough that frees him from his inner prison. It's a wild reminder that our internal freedom doesn't actually depend on our external circumstances at all.
Okay, so seeing the prison walls is one thing, but how do you get out? That brings us to phase 2, which is all about action. It's about consciously choosing to heal. And funny enough, that choice often only seems possible when we've hit rock bottom, when surrendering is literally the only option we have left.
The book introduces us to this guy named Patrick, and his life just completely falls apart. We're talking divorce, his business fails, he loses his home. He ends up living in his van, just repeating the one prayer he can remember over and over. It was at that point, total surrender, nothing left to control, that something new could finally begin. And this is the message that came to him in that moment of despair. Now, whether you read this as a message from God or a profound psychological shift, it doesn't matter. The takeaway is exactly the same. Real freedom isn't found by gripping the steering wheel tighter. It's found by letting go completely. It's about releasing that deep, desperate need to control everything.
And this is what I love. It's not just about these big philosophical ideas. The book gives us practical, concrete tools. It actually lays out a specific method for going back to those painful memories that keep us locked up and starting to heal them.
Here it is, a simple 4-step process. First, you let yourself go back and safely re-experience the memory. Step 2, you invite a healing presence into that memory, whatever that looks like for you, a person, a light, a feeling of safety. 3, you just watch what happens next in your mind, no judgment. And finally, step 4, you forgive yourself, the other people, the situation. It's a way of taking the emotional charge out of the past so it doesn't control your present.
So, after we've started to identify our prisons, and we've begun the work of healing, we finally get to the destination. And that's all about redefining what inner peace even is, because the book suggests that what most of us think it is probably wrong.
This slide just sums up the whole shift perfectly. Our default programming when life hurts is usually rage, blame, and a desperate need for control, right? The path this book lays out is about transforming those reactions into trust, surrender, and compassion. And let me be clear, surrender doesn't mean giving up. It's not passive. It's an active, really courageous choice to trust in something bigger than your own agenda. It's like changing your entire internal operating system.
And this, right here, might be the biggest takeaway. Peace is not about your problems magically vanishing. It's not about finding a perfectly calm sea. It's about learning how to build a boat that's strong enough to handle the storm. It's about being able to stay centered and compassionate and trusting, even when life is throwing everything it has at you.
The book wraps this all up with one last incredible story about Elizabeth Ann Seton. This woman lost absolutely everything: her husband, her money, her whole sense of security. And yet, it was in that place of total loss that she found this profound peace through what she called an entire surrender. See, she wasn't giving up. She was just giving up the fight against reality. It was her way of embracing that final phase, the mystery, and finding peace right there in the middle of it. So we're left with this final massive question that really gets to the heart of the entire book. We spend so much time and energy trying to rearrange the furniture of our lives, thinking if we just get it right, then we'll have peace. But what if that's backward? What if the real journey, the one that actually works, starts by changing not our life, but the way we see our life? Now that's a powerful idea to sit with.